folytatjuk angolul. Maggie is with us, right? Maggie will have her pitch about the importance of awareness about climate change. Maggie, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, I prepared a little presentation for you. And thank you, Matteo, also. It was very interesting to hear about the Italian perspective. Well, I will talk about climate change, but I will also talk about impact investments. But before we go into any details about that, let's get to an episode from my life. In 2012, I was standing in my kitchen in Oakland, California, kneading seitan. Seitan is a high-protein meat replacement made from wheat. And while you could definitely get it in many places, finding a good product that was really delicious and that was not too expensive was less evident. So I was standing there making it myself, which was actually a lot of work. After all the kneading, the dough needed to rest. And then I had to repeat the whole process, I think, 4 more times. So you really needed to be motivated to do so. I had just gone from being a full vegetarian to a low meat diet. And overall, there were simply not enough investments in that sector at the time. But why would anyone actually want to lower meat consumption? Well, that's quite easy to quite an easy question to be answered. Climate change. Livestock emissions cause 14.5% of the total greenhouse gas emissions, which is quite high. Since then, 9 years have passed. And we've become increasingly aware of the impacts of climate change. I saw the pictures of firemen carrying koalas out of the raging flames in Australia. You just saw the pictures from Texas where unusual snow was falling, causing millions of blockouts. There were droughts, there were floodings, there were stronger hurricanes, one record-breaking heat wave after another. And overall, within just 3 years, there was a global cost of $650 billion, which is huge because this is only the beginning of what will happen in the future. Well, despite all those impacts, emissions keep rising, at least when there is no COVID. If you look at that small drop on the emissions curve, that is mostly due to the decrease in flights and to much fewer cars and trucks on the road when all the lockdowns happened. So basically transport emissions. But if emissions keep on rising, and we already see that impacts are getting stronger and stronger, well, we really do have a serious problem. And that's why I need you. I want you to do impact investing. Well, investments are linked twofold to climate change. First, we need to fully divest from fossil fuels. Renewables are cheaper by now, so it also makes sense financially. You can go to your bank tomorrow, ask them to take your money out of those dirty funds, because chances are they still have them. And then once you divested from fossil fuels, you can invest in sustainable solutions. There you have more flexibility. You can simply pick a green fund put your money in. Again, renewables are profitable. But you can also invest in sustainable startups. And there are plenty of possibilities there. Here is one recent example from Tőkeportál, one of the overfunded campaigns. Solar B&B is a platform where customers can compare offers from solar installers. It's a great startup. And then coming back to the meat replacement example I used in the beginning, there's of course also a huge possibility. Also, when it comes to eggs, there's a startup in the Bay Area, for example, called Clara Foods. They are going big on egg replacements. But there's also Beyond Meat. You can even find those sausages on Kifli here in Hungary. And if you eat them, you will not notice the difference. And then there's Las Vegans. It's a vegan restaurant that is hoping to open more locations soon. So we do have plenty of solutions out there. We just need to fund them to help them grow. But when we look at these solutions, there is one important question that we need to ask ourselves, and that is, how do we measure impact? Well, impact can be complex, as you will see in a second, but to get started, we need to calculate return. And there are different methods to do so. One is SROI, or social return on investment, which basically attaches a monetary value to the impact so that you can compare different impacts of different projects. Additionally, we have to make sure that all the startup projects are leading to additionality. What does that mean? Well, it simply means that your impact would not have happened otherwise. To give you an example, the solar installations in Hungary are skyrocketing. Between 2017 and 2020 alone, the photovoltaic peak capacity increased by 640%. So if we take solar B&B, would they increase that trend even further through their platform? Or would they simply make customers' lives easier? There's a big distinction there. And then going to a vegan restaurant, basically measuring impact is a little bit more complicated there, because in the beginning, it's likely to attract mostly existing vegans and vegetarians. Hence, there would not be a lot of additionality happening there. However, in the long term, this would make vegan food socially acceptable, because they would bring friends and colleagues and therefore expand the customer base. And then we should also not forget people like me who try to maintain a low meat diet, which, if you go out into the city, is not always easy. But the more options are out there, the less meat people will eat. And finally, there are countries like China where actually meat consumption is currently increasing. So having these options ready and then exporting them there is also extremely important. Well, but let's add another layer of complexity to measuring impact. Tesla turned the automotive industry upside down, and that is wonderful. However, we should not forget that electric vehicles only lessen direct emissions of cars. They still need to be produced. And that is causing quite a lot of emissions in itself, at least 7 tons per vehicle. So simply replacing one combustion engine car with one electric vehicle is not an option for our climate. There need to be other solutions such as car sharing and more global access that we need to be pursued. One last thought. Financial and climate investments are both compounding. So every dollar that, or euro, or Hungarian forint that you are investing today is worth more than if it was invested today. Or to put it differently, the best time to invest was 15 years ago. The second best time to invest is now. So let's get to work. Let's do impact investment because there's simply no other way. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. Great. It was really very important what you have just summarized. It's the greatest challenge of our times to make our make Earth sustainable. And without making impact investments, when impact comes first, although it must, of course, financially be sustainable as well, is one of the toughest challenges of our times, which has never been so much important than now. And as you just said, the second best time to invest is now. So I hope that as crowdfunding is a tool to finance impact investments, and very many people invest in projects to enable them to work and make a sustainable Earth. We do welcome very much sustainable climate change and ESG projects on our platform. So I hope that soon we will be able to announce one of those again. Thank you. Thank you, Maggie, and stay with us, please, as you are a mentor of Tőkeportál.